Of course, as Jurgen Klopp bid farewell to Anfield. And what's interesting now, Arne Slot coming in, and we've talked about the struggles in the past, Mario, of making that jump from the Eredivisie to the Premier League. Why is Arne Slot going to be different?
He's just different as a manager, of course. You know, as a human being, I think he's one that wants to control his team. You understand, in the sense of, like, when he came to Feyenoord, he came from AZ. He was a good coach there. They brought him to Feyenoord. Their fan base in Feyenoord is really, really huge. You understand? That's one of the big things. So he comes there, and then he brings him, you know, some trophies. Of course, he won the league then, and then this season the cup. But I always said the gap is huge between Holland and England. When you come to England, I always say, like, be careful with who you bring with you. And I think that's been one of the criteria with the Dutch managers, that they sometimes bring a player from Holland and he's been great, and in Holland they talk him up and say, like, oh, that player is amazing, It comes to England, and most of the guys that they really rate about sometimes in our country are the guys that struggle when they go abroad. And we saw a number of the guys. So I think the first season, my advice would be work with what you have, and then see what you can do. Is the way he managed, you understand, the way he plays football. He has the creativity side, in the sense of, like, he can play three at the back, then pushes the defender forward, plays a little bit what, I don't want to compare him to Guardiola, but that kind of philosophy, in the sense of, like, three at the back sometimes, you know, or four at the back and makes it a three at the back, and then puts the right back as a midfielder. He can do that, or push one of the midfielders all the way forward to play four attackers. So he has that creative side. He plays with high energy. That's only the similarity what Klopp had. But we also have to respect this situation. Eh? He's coming at a club where there is a manager that's been loved so much, and you're taking his job over. Why? Because of his success. That's why the love was there. He had the same when he was at Feyenoord, but now he's got to start all over again. And he has a perfect example what Ten Hag did, because Ten Hag was at a moment really loved in our country, came to England, and it really was not the show that he expected it to be. So Arne Slot, he's more in control, he's intelligent enough, and he's a well-spoken person, and that's one of the key things that everybody jumps on at Ten Hag, but he speaks really well. So I hope for him that he can create the same success that he had at Feyenoord.
And Klopp's got a song for him already.
He had a little sing-song, didn't he, for him at the end?
He had a little sing-song. It didn't quite reverberate. It was almost like the punters went, we'll wait and see.
Yes, exactly. Hold your horses.
What a great opportunity for him. I mean, a difficult one, don't get me wrong, to follow in anybody's footsteps that have a rapport with the crowd like Klopp has. So it is not going to be easy, but it's intriguing.
Yeah.
You know, and there's going to be some difficulties, and if you saw, for those that saw the end of the Liverpool game and the parade of the coaching staff and the players, there's quite a few behind-the-scenes guys going, from physios to goalkeeping coaches to assistants. So there's quite a big churn of people behind the scenes, which sometimes can be a good thing, you know, fresh faces coming in. But who knows? We just don't know. But look, he's walking in. Mario mentioned Erik Ten Hag, you know, really difficult year this year. He's walking into not an easy scenario, but certainly a much better scenario.
It's interesting when you think of, like, great Premier League managers who had their DNA all over a club. You inevitably think of Sir Alex Ferguson, and Kieran, you of course think of Arsene Wenger as well. I think you left the club just before he left the club, but you must have spoken to people there during that transition. What is it like? How difficult is it?
Yeah, well, it's interesting what Craig said about, you know, Klopp's personal rapport with the Liverpool fans. I feel like with someone like Klopp, he has a character that, you know, money can't buy. He's just, you know, such an incredible guy. And when that's kind of taken away from you as a club, the next person that comes in, you know, it's hard for that person to connect immediately with the fans because they miss their predecessor. So it's going to be difficult for him just without even, you know, having a player kick a ball. So, you know, I feel for him in that sense, but, you know, that's down to the Liverpool fans. They have to, you know, wipe the slate clean and try and back him as much as they can from his very first game in charge, which isn't easy because, you know, Klopp brought them so much success. But, you know, if there is a club that whose fan base would do that and would just back the manager straight away. It's a fan base like Liverpool's. So I hope that he has a good start. But yeah, it's difficult when you have these iconic managers that just leave such a stamp in so many people's hearts, even people that weren't Liverpool fans. I'm a huge fan of Klopp. It is difficult, but I think Arne Slot has an ability to adapt his teams. Unless you have a squad like City's, you have to adapt. Otherwise, you're just going to get found out by the better squads in the league. And Liverpool have a good squad, but they're not quite up there with Arsenal and City, in my opinion. So I think what he has in his locker, I don't expect him to lift up trees next season, but I think he'll compete.